bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
It's science.
How much taxes did people pay?
I mean, this woman is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a great day for being sad.
There's no point in you betraying your future self to gratify your present self. It's a stupid game.
It's science.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pill.
Jesus, I say that.
Mr. Morelli.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, bitch.
China! I have to have my China. I did everything right and they indicted me.
So hot right now. So hot right now. So hot right now.
Oh, never occurred to me.
Interesting.
It's just
It's
crazy
something
enough to
say.
work.
Yeah.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Consequences.
Are you not entertained? What?
Arguably the greatest work of nonfiction of the 20th century. This is from 12 Years for Life.
Really think you can
Morelli.
you
Your name, please.
Well, it's good to see you all once again. It's been too long since I've seen my space fams. We got a whole lot to look at here tonight. Why don't you join me in a little walk through the unknown? How are we doing on latency? I don't see any lag right now. Knock on wood. Well, think we're gonna start in the same place we usually do. And that's the US of A. However, today we're not gonna start with gun violence, we're gonna start with something else. Got something kind of fascinating. Just figured we would have a little bit of fun at the beginning of all this. Title of this video is When a Congressman Left His Phone Number on a Joke Site, I Became His Right-Hand Man.
This is back in 2020. Somebody messaged me who I'd actually never met before. Somebody who follows me and is familiar with the stuff that I do. They said they bought the website parlor.social for $8, and they made a parody website making fun of the social media app Parler. Do you guys remember Parler? Well, here's the actual Parler logo. Here's his logo that he made for the site. Here's the site, and he has a form on the bottom of the site, and he wanted to see if I wanted to respond to people who filled out the form thinking that they're writing to the actual Parler. And I said, sure, why not, right? And then I actually never heard from him again until over a year and a half later. He messaged me again and said, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but we just got a message on Parler Social from an actual former congressperson named Ted Yoho. And his name sounded familiar, so I had to look him up. He's the guy who called Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC, a fucking bitch. Does anyone remember that? It was him, and it was like a big deal in the news when...
It's terrible. But you know what? It's even more terrible. I have a sound shot of this, and I don't have it on my soundboard. What is the deal with that? I could have sworn... You know, I think it's when I rearranged my soundboard. It might have somehow gotten overwritten. It's basically unacceptable. Oh no, I have AOC saying it. That's what it is.
A fucking bitch.
happened, and he was supposed to apologize to Congress for it, but here was his apology speech.
The offensive name-calling words attributed to me by the press were never spoken to my colleagues, and if they were construed that way, I apologize for their misunderstanding. I cannot
Jesus
apologize
Christ.
for my passion.
Now, here's the thing. Here's my disclaimer about this video. I was watching this for fun today. You know, I was doing my normal thing, going through life up here in space, doing work and whatnot, looking through YouTube for important stuff for us to look at. And I was like, you know what? I deserve some fun. Let's watch this. The thing is this thing goes from just being funny to being legitimately, like, actual journalism. Oh, it's definitely a non-apology. It's barely even a recognition of what happened.
For loving my God, my
Jesus
family.
Christ. I'm sorry. You gotta go back.
I cannot apologize for my passion or for loving my God, my family, and my country. I yield back.
So that was his quote-unquote apology speech, right? But he left his phone.
He can't apologize for stuff that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, like loving your God or country.
Number on the form in hopes that someone from what he thought was Parler would contact him about making like a podcast or a radio show together. So I gave him a call on the phone. I said my name was Eric with Parler Social. The first phone conversation lasted like 20 minutes. I thought it was going to be over quick, but he never really picked up on any of the off-the-wall things I was saying. Like, he wanted the name of his podcast to be called God, Country, Family based off that speech.
Content's going to be, pretty much God, Country, Family. Everything
Pretty much
ran
God,
on.
Country, Family.
Sorry, cut out.
I cut out.
Jesus, I say
God,
that.
Damn Family or something?
God, Country, and Family.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I was like, whoa, easy on the family. And then we talked about school shootings.
We tried to get implemented when I was in Congress, a gun safety program to go into the schools. Of course, none of the schools, really wanted to do that.
Maybe if there were more shooting ranges
inside the schools, you know, that way all that aggression, you know, you skip right past the lunchroom, you know, right to the shooting range and get some target practice in. Even if the targets were, you know, 6-year-old boys and girls.
Jesus Christ. I think that the proposal he's talking about that Ted Yoho was a part of was the one that actually recently just passed. I believe it was in Tennessee, to give teachers guns in classrooms. Pranking them. You're if you're not familiar, if you haven't seen this video, just hold on to your hat. Hold right on. What was I about to say? Oh, yes, 10 likes. Thank you, Chris Garrett, for reminding me. Where's my all-important dice of decision? 6. Who is 6? Oh, it's Neo, a.k.a. John Wick.
Targets, you know, if that saves a life, then hey.
Well, and have the parents come out with you.
Yeah, so as you can see, he wasn't really listening at all. So this actually just kept going. I had multiple phone calls with him, and he wanted us to make him a website for his new podcast, so we did that. Here's the God Country Family Cast website.
All right, you see what I'm talking about? Do you see where this is going right now? They literally made this man a website for his podcast, and he started using it.
And he was like sending us blogs that he wrote, like this one, this really long blog. And so we just uploaded that under the manifestos section of the website. So we're like running this website now.
Oh my God.
And one time he asked me, do you have anybody else that works with you at Parler? And I was like, yeah, you're right. I can't be the only person working at Parler. So I had to recruit other comedians to play characters at Parler with me. Here's Walter Masterson up in the top left corner. That's me, him, and Ted recording a full episode of his podcast over Zoom. And we had some side discussion as well.
Episode.
Ignorance out there is just
a full episode of his podcast without him. Still no questions yet. He's still fully on board.
And, we had some side discussion as well.
the ignorance out there is just amazing.
Yeah, there are a lot of just ignorant people. Just, I mean, completely, and it's like the stuff is happening right in front of them, and they're just like totally ignorant. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just
they fall for anything.
Yeah. So we're running his website. We got a.
They'll fall for anything. Good God. Are we just naming different characters that Keanu Reeves has played? I'm fine with that. I'm just trying to check in with chat.
Episode of his podcast.
I'm in top chat. This is a disaster.
To be honest, I didn't know how long I could even keep doing this. I tried to get out of it once. I tried to teach him how to do it all himself, and he could barely figure out how to log into his computer. And so I decided to keep going. Another reason why I decided to keep going, because he would always bring up the AOC thing a lot. But remember, he told Congress that he never actually called her that.
Yeah.
And then he went on the news, and this is what he said.
Did you refer to her as a F word, B word?
No, I walked down the steps. I said, this is just such frickin' BS.
But here's what he told me.
A reporter heard me say something. He said, what was that about? I said, no comment. Well, you guys are in the media business, and, you know, when somebody says no comment, it's kind of off the record. You know, you don't go after that.
Right.
And he said, did you call her an F and B? And I said, no comment.
Oh, God.
But truth is, as I walked away by myself, I said, what a F and B.
Wait, you don't know what Parler is? I'm pretty sure that Parler was... What was it? When it was when right-wingers felt shadow banned on, I can't remember which platform it was. I think it might have been Twitter. Was it their? I think it was their Twitter response, their first Twitter response. They were like, "Oh, we're being shadow banned on Twitter. We need another app just for right-wingers." So that's what that is. It did not do well from what I recall. But on this live podcast that they are taping, he straight up admits to the fact that he lied. He lied directly to who was that? Megyn Kelly on Fox News, and to the entire nation for that matter. It's hilarious because they were just trying to prank this guy. They did not think they were gonna get this far, and suddenly they're like, this like revelatory shit is coming out.
So he confided in me some shit he lied to Congress about. So at this point, I'm like, it's really starting to get deep with this guy. And you know what? He actually invited us to meet him in person at Liberty University in Virginia, where they were having like this CEO summit where other politicians were going to be at because he wanted them to come on as guests on his podcast and for us to interview them. And I was like, when we start messing with all these other powerful people, I really probably should talk to a lawyer. So I registered Jones LLC.
Honestly, though, this is where like it continues to get better and better.
And then I had to do a little research on this stuff. You guys know Borat, Sacha Baron Cohen, right? He had a show on Showtime called Who is America? And then in this particular episode, he pranked this judge from Alabama who's like a pedophile named Roy Moore. Sacha Baron Cohen said he was a member of the Israeli military that had a wand that could detect like pedophile excrement. And he was like, here, let's see if it works. And he swiped it himself and nothing happened. And then he swiped Roy Moore and it started beeping. And then Roy Moore like walked off the set. And after they aired this, he sued Sacha Baron Cohen for $90 million. So I actually called one of Sacha Baron Cohen's lawyers directly on the phone. I didn't think they'd answer at all. And they were like, wow, it sounds like you got yourself in a bit of a pickle there, didn't you? And they're like, he won that lawsuit and he wins all of them because he gets these people to sign these airtight contracts before they appear on his show. And so that lawyer actually did me a huge favor and sent me the exact same contract that Sacha Baron Cohen uses. And I got Ted to sign it.
It is so amazing. I swear to God, this guy, he did everything right. And you know what? They didn't indict him. At least they haven't yet. This only came out like a week and a half ago or something like that, so. But this is amazing. I can't believe he managed to just pull this off for months.
So off we went to Liberty University.
Unbelievable.
Here I am meeting him for the first time.
Oh, God.
So Ted blocked this conference room off for us. We were supposed to interview people throughout the day, but I guess he double booked this conference room with like somebody else. The lieutenant governor of Virginia's people came in and said they were supposed to use it. So we had to leave, and so the whole first day we didn't interview anybody. We just ended up following Ted around, and he was like introducing us to other powerful people. Oh, by the way, I went out there, Walter went out there from the Zoom call, and then Mac, the guy who made the website Parler Social, he went too. And I hired a camera guy to come with us. So yeah, we get kicked out of the conference room. We're following Ted around. He introduces us to these powerful. That's like a former congressperson over there on the right. And then in the middle, that's actually the former president of Ghana. And then there's us.
Oh, God, I'm sorry, chat. This is killing me right now. They look so out of place. Like, it is amazing.
That's the look of, what the fuck am I doing here right now? So Ted's giving this speech in this conference room, and we're kind of just waiting for him, me and Walter. And as we're waiting for him, all of a sudden these people that work at Liberty University approached us and started asking us these questions like they knew we were up to something. I'm like, oh shit, we're about to get kicked out of this place. But Walter, you saw Walter, he does stuff like this a lot. He pranks politicians way more than I do. This is my first time. So here's Walter on the beach with Marjorie Taylor Greene on the left there. And that's Matt Gaetz over there. He paid for sex with minors on Venmo. And there's Walter in the middle.
I'm so excited! I mean, everyone thinks you're crazy. I don't think you're crazy. People think you're a pedophile. I don't think you're a pedophile at all. I don't think he's a pedophile at all. Totally false. Oh my God.
So Walter does this shit, right? So he was like, you know what, I bet you any money they recognize me, and that's why all of a sudden they're onto us. So he actually left Liberty University completely so we could keep going. And he was right, because right after he left, security came up to me, and they had Walter's TikTok profile on their phone, and they're like, do you know him very well? And I was like, nah, I just met him today, but I'm really here with Ted Yoho. And they're like, okay, you're good. I was like, all right, cool. And then Ted got done with his speech and said this.
She goes, "You got the film crew here?" I said, "Yeah." And they go, "Okay." She goes, "We thought they might be the TikTok disruptors."
Oh,
because TikTok is Chinese.
China.
So they were trying to tell him what was going on, and he blamed China instead. So shout out to China for getting us out of that one. Thank you, China.
I have to have my China.
Because he never brought it up again the rest of the night. So we all left, and the next day we had one confirmed guest to come on his show, and that was former presidential candidate Michelle Bachmann. So here I am meeting her for the first time. And Ted actually wanted people to sign contracts before they appeared on his show, and I was like, well, I have a contract that you can sign, the Sacha Baron Cohen contract. So she signed, and we're ready to do this thing. By the way, I've been doing this now for 3 full months, pretending to be...
They couldn't have set it up better. You couldn't have planned it better. They were ready with contracts, and he's just like, "Oh, sure. Well, we also have some that we'd like Michelle and you to sign." Jesus,
from Parlor Social. So this
That's
was like the
amazing.
end of the road for me. We only had one confirmed guest. I don't know if you noticed the horse that I brought there, because I wanted to present some stuff to him to see if he would remember all the crazy shit that we talked about on our very first phone call. And one of them was a horse, because before he worked in Congress, he used to operate on them as a veterinarian.
On the abortion side, I mean, if you get rid of the male population and get it manageable, then you can manage your herd from that point forward.
I think that's a
what
great,
happened over the years.
a great.
What does that even mean? I don't know what that means. I know it sounds completely insane, but I genuinely don't know what that's supposed to mean.
Analogy to go with humans too. Put this on the men, get forced vasectomies, and now they're carrying a little bit more of the responsibility. You know, if they can't get the nut, then there's not going to be the baby. So.
Well, that's true. And
So I brought the horse.
How do you say, as a congressperson, even a former, how do you ever say something like "that's true" to a statement as ridiculous as that? I don't know. I feel like, man, I don't know where I'd have to be in life to just be agreeing to insane statements like that. I'm not sure. Should we watch the rest of this? People, I'm starting to really want margaritas. There's been a lot of talk of margaritas in chat.
Forceps for the horse and a mug that says "Vasectomy Survivor, I kid you not." And I presented that to them, and they thought it was funny. They didn't really know what the hell was going on. But then the next thing I presented, that's when it got really tense, because that was the Target with the kids on it. When I put that up behind them, that's when they realized something wasn't actually quite right. They actually got up and then they left. So now...
I can't believe that's what it took for them to leave. You get given a fucking mug that says "Vasectomy Survivor."
It's just me, the camera guy, and Mac, the guy who made the website, left alone in this conference room. And I'm like, you guys, I think we just need to get the hell out of here as soon as we can. But as we were packing up, Ted comes back into the conference room demanding that we give him back the contract that Michelle Bachmann signed. And he pushed me in the chest and tried to close our camera guy in the doorway.
Michelle's papers.
Jesus Christ.
I want to call the police.
Thankfully, nobody was hurt. And Mac, he actually took that contract away in his butthole like it was like a sack of weed. So he never got the contract back. But this whole time, a camera guy left like the camera behind, and Ted was like trying to press the red button on it to turn it off. And Mac was like pressing the red button back to turn it back on. They're having like this finger battle with the red button. And I guess Ted cut himself while he was doing this because he was getting physical with us. And when I saw that he was bleeding, I pointed it out to him to calm him down. That's when he pulled his phone out and tried to say that the reason he's bleeding is because we attacked him.
This is all.
Now, I don't want reality.
And in the process, they attacked me, and I got hurt. And I hope you have good insurance.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on. No comment.
So finally, the police come up to the conference room, and he tells them that we attacked him. So then they tell us now we're under investigation for assault. And our camera guy had left, and we didn't know how to use the camera that he left behind. Thankfully, Mac had his iPhone out the whole time and recorded everything. So we showed them the footage of Ted actually assaulting us, and they let us go. So the iPhone bailed us out, thank God. Which, by the way, was made in China. Thank you, China. Once again.
Okay, all right. That's it. That's it. Figured we would try to have fun. I just couldn't believe what they did. Like, and the fact that that Ted Yoho went along with this for what seems like months and put a ton of effort into this. Oh, it's unbelievable. It genuinely, it turned from a prank to actual journalism. Multiple things came out of this. One, turns out, he definitely said,
A fucking bitch.
you know, that needs a maximizer on it. That's not loud enough. We need this louder. Make you louder. Be louder.
A fucking bitch.
That's better. So he definitely said that. And he physically assaulted two, two, I guess you might say, journalists, technically, in this situation. It's just hilarious that it just went from silly online shenanigans to that. Okay, now we're going to go on to some more actual serious news. What first? Alright, let's look at this one. It's from like 5 hours ago. Breaking news. Trump lashes out at hush money trial judge after testimony from Stormy Daniels. Aww.
I don't want reality.
By the way, chat, we're only 4 likes away to get a second support character. And we definitely have enough people in chat to get it done.
Thank you very much. Everybody saw what happened today. I don't think we have to do any explaining. I'm not allowed to anyway because this judge is corrupt. He's a corrupt judge. This judge, what he did and what his ruling was is a disgrace. Everybody saw what happened.
Do you see this guy in the background? Because that's me. When I first watched this, that was genuinely my reaction. I was like, is he trying to go to jail right now? What's happening? What? Wait, you can't even see it. Oh, damn it. It's cut off. Son of a bitch, it's all the way over to the right. Hold on. You have to watch this. There we go.
What he did and what his ruling was is a disgrace. Everybody saw what happened today. He's a corrupt.
This lady did it too. Oh my god. They're both just like, pal, this is definitely going against that gag order that you violated about a dozen times already. This guy just looks genuinely, this is his lawyer, and he looks genuinely concerned right now. Oh god.
Illegal. Judge, and he's totally conflicted. And I got to get back on the campaign trail. I'm not supposed to be here. We are so innocent.
I don't want
There's never been
reality.
anything like it. Read every single analyst, legal analyst. I'm innocent, and I'm being held in this court with a corrupt judge who's totally conflicted. Take a look at his conflict.
Oh my god. This has got to be a direct violation of the order.
Disgrace to the city of New York. To
Like
the state
15
of New
times
York,
in one
and to the
sentence.
country. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Wow. Wow. I just couldn't believe he's done it again after being told he could be sent to prison. He's like, nah, I'm just gonna keep pushing it till somebody tells me that I'm actually going to prison. It's an interesting strategy.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely been like 10 times at least. Let's look at some more Trump-related news, but I guess you might call this lesser Trump-related news. This is from the AP from 6 hours ago. This one makes me...
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Like 100%. Okay, this is real news. I'm not making this up. Barron Trump has been chosen to serve as a Florida delegate to the Republican convention. Barron Trump. You know who I'm talking about. That kid who looks like Draco Malfoy. That one. He's going to be a delegate for the state of Florida.
Former President Donald Trump's youngest son was chosen as one of the delegates, Florida delegates for the Republican National Convention, taking place July 15 to July 18th. Barron Trump, who is 18, now joins his older siblings, Eric, Donald Jr., and Tiffany, who will also be serving as members of the Florida delegation at the convention in July. The Republican...
It's just a family reunion for them. They basically are running the Arden scene now. It's hilarious how things have changed over a decade.
National Convention is where Donald Trump is set to be officially nominated as the presidential candidate ahead of the November general election, where he's seeking to unseat President Joe Biden. The chairman of the Republican Party of Florida announced this Wednesday and said they're very happy and glad.
Very happy and glad. That's so great.
He looks good, and he looks hard.
Tiffany Trump, the unknown Trump. Whenever she's mentioned, I'm like, who? I cannot say I know who that is. I mean, I know of her, but I don't think I've ever seen her face. But yeah, Republicans just doing normal ass stuff down there in Florida. Okay. Let's look at this annoying story from 4 hours ago from PBS NewsHour. This is a little discussion of immigration. Biden proposal would expedite deportation of migrants ineligible for asylum. Better make it fast, huh? Whoa, what is happening? Why have you done this? Wait, what happened? Huh? Hold on. Something is very wrong. Sorry. Hold on a second. Something got out of order. I have two lists. Must have like refreshed one and not the other. Not actually sure what I did wrong. Okay. There we go. What in the fuck? Just really? Just full screen. That's all you gotta do. Totally wrong. Why are you on this video? Wow. Just wow. Don't appreciate this.
The Biden administration proposed a change to the U.S. asylum system today that would expedite the removal of certain migrants. The regulation.
Oh shoot, 23 likes suddenly. 2. Who's 2? Cisco. Cisco in here. Oh, we don't have anybody on this screen. That could be disastrous for later stream. Fix it.
Under consideration would apply to migrants with criminal histories or deemed as national security risks who would be unlikely to receive asylum. Following all of this is our White House correspondent Laura Barron Lopez. Laura, you spoke with some Homeland Security Department officials earlier today who briefed you on this change. What did they share with you about the plan?
So a senior DHS official essentially said that this change allows asylum officers to take into consideration if they think that a migrant may be a threat to public safety, a threat to national security at an earlier stage of that asylum process than is previously allowed under the law. Currently under the law, currently in the asylum process, those potential threats are taken into consideration when they're deciding, when the government is deciding whether or not a migrant can be granted asylum. But it's typically when they're in court facing a judge, have a lawyer by their side. This makes it so that would be possible during the credible fear interview stage, which happens.
So without actually hearing out asylum seekers in a court of law, we're now going to allow someone to essentially just make a decision on the spot, interviewers, I guess, whether or not a person should be here or not, even if they're seeking asylum, which is essentially would usurp the original rules around asylum in the U.S. at least.
Within the first 1 to 2 days of a migrant arriving. So that's the big change here, Amna, is to the timeline.
So do any of the measures or proposals announced today, do they have any impact on the southern border right now?
So that proposed rule won't have an immediate impact because it's a proposal. And so, of course, it has to go through the process that all regulations have to go through. But the DHS official who spoke to reporters today said that the administration believes that they will go through this regulation, the process expeditiously, that it could very well be finalized before the November election. And
so this isn't even going to produce results for the administration during this term, right? He genuinely believes that we need to crack down on the border. This is Biden's proposal, supposedly. So that's what's happening. Not a fan of this legislation, if you ask me. Oh, God. Cisco is your favorite? Okay, that's what's up. I'm just gonna move on from this. One's pissing me off. I don't know why. Well, I think I know why, but it's just very, very fucking annoying. Because, you know what, let's just hypothetically, think of a situation that could happen, right? Biden loses, Trump comes in, puts somebody in place without even having to legislate it. It'll already be there for them to do this, and they can just willy-nilly start, getting rid of people on basis that's not even established in court, right? It'll be impossible to challenge, and they'll already be gone. Okay, let's talk about Boeing as, well, you'll see. There's a reason for it. Actually, I'm going to put it in this order. Let's look at this one. This is from 13 hours ago, where another whistleblower has come out and discusses Boeing's quality concerns regarding supplies and other manufacturing issues. Wait, no, I got one ahead of myself. This is from Reuters. U.S. weekly jobless claims highest in more than 8 months.
The number of Americans filing new claims for unemployment benefits rose last week to the highest level in more than 8 months, further evidence that the labor market is cooling. The weekly jobless claims report from the Labor Department on Thursday is considered the most timely data on the health of the economy. It follows reports last week which showed the economy added the fewest jobs in 6 months in April, while job openings dropped to a 3-year low in March. One economist tells Reuters the data hints at caution on the part of companies as they weigh the outlook for the second half of the year. Expectations for an interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve at its September policy meeting rose slightly to 50% after the release of weekly jobless claims, according to the CME FedWatch tool. The Fed last week left its benchmark overnight interest rate unchanged. Initial claims for state unemployment benefits increased 22,000 to a season.
So yeah, just for context, 22,000 is, I think, an increase of, in terms of like, in proportion to the amount that was around, I think it's like 0.1% or something increase, but did happen. Will it get the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates? Probably not. Even though that's their supposed goal, is getting pressure on the labor market and inflation under control, or whatever their supposed goals are. Okay, now let's talk about FedEx. Not FedEx, I mean Boeing. How many whistleblowers are dead? I know of at least one. Is there more than one that died recently? Like recently? Because I feel like I need to look that up. But quickly, let's look at this. This is from 13 hours ago. Whistleblower from Boeing supplier discusses quality concerns.
Whistleblowers speaking publicly for the very first time about quality concerns over a key Boeing supplier. Kansas-based Spirit Aerosystems builds the bulk of the Boeing 737 MAX. We all remember when that door panel on a 737 MAX blew out during an Alaskan Airlines flight back in January. Well, this whistleblower says he often found issues near similar door panels on other aircraft fuselages. Chris Van Cleve sat down with him in a CBS News exclusive interview.
If quality mattered, I would still be a Spirit.
For about a decade, Santiago Paredes worked at the end of the production line at one of Boeing's largest suppliers, Spirit Aerosystems, doing final inspections on 737 fuselages before they'd ship to Boeing.
How often did you find issues?
Every day. I'm finding over 100 defects in every day.
Findings he says his managers pressured him to keep to a minimum. Even, he says, referring to him by the nickname Showstopper because repairs he identified delayed deliveries, which he says cost Spirit money.
Oh,
they always said that they didn't have time to fix the mistakes.
Didn't have time because...
How dare you get us to fix mistakes that cost us money?
They needed to get the planes out.
The planes out, yep.
While the two 737 MAX crashes that killed 346 people in 2018 and 2019 were not blamed on problems at Spirit, Paredes hoped they would have been a quality wake-up call.
And I felt responsible in a way. I came home, I cried to my wife. I was like, this is so frustrating. I was like, hundreds of people have already died, and they're not changing. I was like, and they're not changing.
He says quality issues persisted. CBS News spoke with several current and former Spirit employees and reviewed photos of dented fuselages and a wrench they say was left behind in a supposedly ready-to-deliver component.
Were these defects that if they weren't fixed could be a safety issue down the line?
Some of them were because some of them were missing fasteners.
And a fastener holds parts of the plane together.
Yeah.
Boeing confirms it's long had a team that finds and fixes defects in Spirit products after delivery when Boeing is assembling the planes.
This is a recipe for disaster, really. I said, it was just a matter of time before something bad happened.
In February 2022, Paredes said his bosses asked him to speed up inspections by being less specific about where he was finding issues.
Okay, that's where I wanted to stop it. That is an insane request of a safety inspector, okay? To say that you need to be less specific about what's wrong to speed the process up, what does that even mean? And first off, I reject the premise that it would speed up the process. How, unless you're just disregarding things, you know, in mass, right? And it'll just be easier, so you don't have to look at things one by one. But it's like, think about that, right? Why in a safety circumstance? Why in the fuck would you not want specifics? There's no other reason aside from one, right? It's this. Okay, let's look at this from literally an hour after this whistleblower spoke with CBS News. This is from AP, where a Boeing 737... Actually, you know what? Before we do this, I just realized I want to watch the end of this, because he says some shit at the end of this that's fucking...
Contractors to make defect repairs. It appears the bolts holding the panel were not reinstalled.
Working in Spirit, I almost grew a fear of flying. There's about 2 or 3 units that is in the back of your mind that you know that you would never want to fly on.
You think there are planes out there that you wouldn't want to fly on?
But knowing what I know about the 737...
So if you didn't hear him, he just said, while he was working at Spirit Airlines, that he had lists of planes in his head that he knew he didn't want to fly on because he was concerned about their safety. And then from what he knew of the 737, that he genuinely was afraid to step on those planes. Right? And speaking of 737s, let's look at this next video from literally an hour after this came out. Boeing 737 catches fire and skids off runway in Senegal. Okay, so this story has actually gotten more interesting since I last, since I started this, or not necessarily that, but it became more interesting due to some people saying some stuff here. Hold on, though. I gotta do this. All right, first let's look at this. I'll do this while we're doing this. Just to remind everybody of what this guy said, if you never saw this video, this was from, what is it, a month ago? Yeah, this is from a month ago on ABC News, where one of the Boeing whistleblowers, family members spoke to them.
I know that he did not commit suicide. There's no way.
First tonight, our investigative reporter Ann Emerson has new information in the death of Boeing whistleblower John Barnett. A close family friend of Barnett says he predicted he might wind up dead, that a story could surface that he killed himself. But he told her, don't believe it. Ann?
Tessa, Barnett's family friend Jennifer said they had talked about this exact scenario playing out. but his words seem like a premonition. He told her, "Don't ever believe it."
I knew John because his mom and my mom are best friends. And so over the years, get-togethers, birthdays, celebrations, and, you know, whatnot, we've all got together and talked, and, you know, that's how we really know each other.
And when Jennifer needed help one day, Barnett came by to see her. They talked about his upcoming depositions in Charleston. Jennifer knew he filed an extremely damaging complaint against Boeing. He says the aerospace giant retaliated against him when he blew the whistle on unsafe practices. For more than 30 years, Barnett was a quality manager. He'd recently retired and moved back to look after his mom in Louisiana.
He wasn't concerned about safety because I asked him, I said, "Aren't you scared?" And he said, and his voice and the way he would talk, "No, I ain't scared." He said, "But if anything happens to me, it's not suicide. You know, I know."
Yeah, that's a little too prescient, I think. A little too prescient, right? To say ahead of time something like that, it's gotta mean you're fucking scared of something. But I just realized something even more chilling. I don't know if I'm right about this. I have to double check something right now. Holy, what the fuck? Oh no, okay, I was wrong. Okay. Alright, but thanks to somebody here in chat who mentioned this, I'm just going to read this off for you. This was actually from a week ago, and somehow I missed it. It was on May Day. That might be why I missed it, because I was focusing on all the May Day protests. But a week ago, another whistleblower died by the name of Josh Dean, who was also a supplier for Spirit Aerosystems, just like the guy we were just talking to. But I think the one who we were not talking to, the one we were just listening to before that video, he was, I believe he was a quality. But listen to this. Okay, Joshua Dean, a former quality auditor at Boeing supplier Spirit Aerosystems and one of the first whistleblowers to allege Spirit leadership had ignored manufacturing defects on the 737 MAX, died Tuesday morning after a struggle with a sudden, fast-spreading infection. He was 45 and had been in good health and was noted for having a healthy lifestyle. He died after 2 weeks in critical condition. Dean had given a deposition in a Spirit shareholder lawsuit and also filed a complaint with the Federal Aviation Administration alleging serious and gross misconduct by senior quality management of the 737 production line. So these guys died within a month of each other. Less than that. I think a few weeks. It is crazy. You know, I didn't want to start pointing any hasty fingers after the supposed suicide of the first whistleblower to die. But after this second one dies of very seemingly fishy sort of circumstances, I have a lot of questions now, to say the least. And I'm very concerned. I mean, we've already been criticizing their corporate culture, and it seems like it's been affecting a lot of people. But the fact that the people are now like just mysteriously dying who happen to be, because that's the thing. Like when we talk about probability of something being real or not, in terms of like if you you know what I mean, like if you're making some sort of supposition, like in this case, right? Like we're talking about like what's the probability of a whistleblower dying, right? Like it's technically the same probability as human dying, right? But then when you add in a second event, then suddenly you have to actually completely change what you're asking in that question, right? Then it's like, what is the probability not just of two humans dying in a row, but two whistleblowers dying in a row? Because it's no, because you know what I mean? Like, is in a vacuum with just one person dying, you can't necessarily try and start making any sort of judgments there. But I think with this, I really am starting to see this as being a very unlikely chain of events. Okay, what's next? Okay, we're on to ecological and environmental news here. We got a not as hefty as usual, but we got a fair amount to look at here today. Starting with the storms that have been happening and ravaging the south of the United States here. Let's start with this one from the AP.
Watch that flag in front of us, baby. It's going all kinds of ways. Oh my gosh, John. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Oh my heavens. That was a tornado.
Since approximately 3 p.m. today, the Gaston County Communications Center has processed approximately 1,200 calls for service related to severe weather. Additionally, we're expecting another storm around 2 a.m. tonight. Therefore, we advise residents to stay home and avoid unnecessary travel.
Storm came into Gaston County, uprooted trees and did a lot to our thoroughfares of trying to get some of our roadways cleared, but also a lot of power lines are down. We did have one fatality today during that episode, but we also, Jim's had one birth as well that they administered.
I don't know why that's necessary to mention. Somebody died, but somebody was born too. Hey, no big deal. Got a replacement right here. It's a weird thing to bring up. Okay, this is from 10 hours ago. Tennessee tornado survivor says it felt like 10 trains going down the road at one time.
We were home. Just gotten home. My wife was home cooking dinner. We didn't have much warning. Once we knew that it was happening and we saw what was coming, I knew that it wasn't right. We got downstairs. That's all we could do.
Could you see it? Anything from up here?
You could see it coming across the hill, but you couldn't tell what it was. But you could definitely hear it and you could feel it.
What did it feel like? A pressure or like a...
No, you could feel the rumble. You could actually feel it coming. I can't explain it. It was like 10 trains going down the road at one time. I mean, the force was so strong coming through our basement that it blew the doors out going to the back of the house from what was coming through the house from the upstairs.
That's insane. Having interior doors downstairs getting blown out from what's happening above. Oh boy. Okay. We have some footage of this actual storm now to look at. That was the aftermath. I don't know why I put it in this order. Don't ask me. Parts of Tennessee were hit by severe storms with flooding and a tornado wreaking havoc in the state. The storm lashed several counties with heavy rain leading to floods. Wow, that was a big ass house. Now it's all gone. Bye bye house. Holy shit. Place was huge. Well, there's another place behind you. You can see it's gone as well. Just destroyed. The way that the like not the houses, but the trees. Do you see the way the trees are like exploded? Like over here. Like it's crazy to see it. But climate but climate change is a hoax. Yeah, right, exactly. I'm gonna refer you back to the probability thing, because we keep having these like multi-hundred-year events sort of things, right? Over and over again. Like in the same years, even. When you start adding up, and you don't add up probabilities, you multiply them. But if you were to multiply those all up over the last, 100 years now, I guess you could do that. But if you were just do it like over this last year, right? It's insane just like to suggest that somehow it's just a hoax. Oh, it's just this is totally normal. It always happens. And obviously I know you're kidding, but I just felt compelled. Now it says according to local media, only one person has died. That's just in this county, from what I understand. At least 3 people have died from these storms. The most recent batch of them. You can see golf ball sized hail pelting down on the sidewalk here. This is insane. Look like a freaking ice rink or something. In the middle of May. Tennessee, of all places. We need cyber houses with stainless steel construction. It's funny. Alright, let's I'm gonna skip this one. Go to this one. It's from Global News. What's behind the string of tornadoes in the US, and could Canada see similar? That is an interesting question I hadn't even considered until this.
A tornado tears across Indiana, downing trees and destroying buildings. The first ever tornado emergency declared in Michigan, and at least 4 dead since Monday due to storms ripping across the U.S.
A tornado can...
Oh my god, was it the first ever tornado emergency in Michigan? I had no idea it was the... I mean, I had never heard of one in Michigan, and we talked about the sort of surprising... Like, nobody had forecasted that the tornadoes would go to Michigan, but I had no idea it was the first ever recorded in history. Holy fuck. Just totally random. Yep, climate change is a woke hoax.
The most vicious, dangerous type of tornado. If it happens out in a farmer's field somewhere, we're not talking, you're not interviewing me, we're not having this conversation.
Tornado season is in full swing, and while it's a busy one, in many cases it's where the storms are hitting that has drawn attention.
It seems like every day whenever there's a tornado that gets reported, it's being reported on because it's actually hit a populated area, and that's the real tragedy.
As Americans try to recover, could Canada see its own set of outbreaks? Global News Chief Meteorologist Anthony Farnell says it could be an active season.
I do expect it to be a rather stormy late spring and summer, above normal rainfall, but it is tough to predict individual outbreaks.
Tornadoes can be unpredictable, but Environment Canada...
Awokes? Oh, I will. Indeed.
Says it's why Canadians should be prepared.
The number one thing is staying up to date with your forecasts as frequently as you can. Have a reliable weather source as well, especially a reliable source to have warnings sent to you.
Even with the difficulty of prediction, however, improvements to analyzing and recording tornadoes may result in records being broken. Farnell notes Canada sees between 100 and 130 tornadoes on average annually. The U.S. has already seen that number in just the past few days.
So it wouldn't surprise me.
There's been 130 tornadoes in the past few days? Hold on. I gotta look at something. There's 1,200 tornadoes per year, roughly, according to the National Service Storms Laboratory.gov. 150 tornadoes in 3 days represents more than 10% of that. Over 1% of the year. That's bad. Okay, we have more to talk about here. Let me move along. Let us move along. But yeah, Canada is not exempt from tornadoes, and they could have even more, unfortunately, in store. Have you mentioned that you think we should hollow out a mountain in Wyoming? No, I don't believe you have. Why Wyoming? Any particular reason? Okay. I'm gonna skip this one too. Okay, awesome. I love skipping videos. Let's go to this in Florida, where a power company prepares for 2024 hurricanes by dealing with a fake one.
Today is our hurricane storm drill. As I mentioned, this has been going on for 3 days already with planning activities, and now is the actual first day of restoration after the storm impacted. So we had a Category 4 hurricane that came into the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, and it impacted us yesterday. We are now here the first full day of restoration after that storm, and our entire organization is working through the crew movements, the assessments, and understanding how quickly we're going to be able to restore service to our customers. For us, it is very significant to make sure that our organization is ready to go during an emergency event like a hurricane. And so having the training and the processes checked and challenged through a drill like this one, like a hurricane dry run, allows us to then take any of those gaps that we may be able to identify and work them into our process prior.
Well, I hope that their preparations help prevent suffering in Florida. And or any real catastrophic issues to the power grid there. Let's move on to Brazil, where they are still dealing with this flood. Just been dealing with it for what, like a week and a half now? How long has it been? Feels like it's been forever. Maybe not that long. Maybe a week. Anyway, let's look at it. Because there's at least 150,000 people homeless right now in Brazil because of it, with scores of people dead.
Rescuers rushed to evacuate people stranded by devastating floods across the southern Brazilian state of Rio Grande do Sul on Tuesday. The deluge has left at least 90 dead and over 150,000 homeless, with many desperate survivors seeking food and basic supplies. Relatives waited at the shore of the Guaiba River in the state capital of Porto Alegre to find their loved ones on the boats that brought rescued people from flood-hit areas. Taina Silva is still waiting for news on her husband.
My daughter won't stop crying.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Of course you may have another emotional. You've earned it. Holy. Wow, chat. It's only hour 15 in here. You're burning through likes. It's incredible. What happened to my goddamn dice? Oh, there it is. 3. Now Captain Planet. Oops. Blam. There you go. Well done, chat. Really, I'm just impressed. Not even mad.
There are firefighters there, but they say they can't do anything from there, so I should come here and ask the firefighters here if they can save my husband there.
The flooding has made rescue efforts even tougher, with dozens of people still waiting to be evacuated by boat or helicopter from rain-stricken homes. The downpour that began last week has caused rivers to flood, inundating whole towns, destroying roads, bridges and airports. Now the rain is forecast to let up on Thursday, but then will continue through the weekend.
So today it didn't rain, but it's about to get back to raining in Brazil. The last thing they need with images like this.
Experts say it's driven by a heat wave caused by this year's
One day
El
will
Niño
not be
phenomenon
enough for
due to
this
a
flooding
cold
to
front coming
subside.
off the Antarctic and unusual humidity in the Atlantic. In Porto Alegre, a city of 1.3 million inhabitants, downtown streets were underwater after the Guaíba River breached its banks with record water.
In your opinion, if you need to build your house on stilts, that's probably a good sign. You probably shouldn't build it there. Sorry to be heartless. Well, hopefully you don't take the strategy of the Kenyan government, which we looked at recently, where they, you know, they went in, destroyed people's homes that they believed to be in a flood. I mean, it is in a floodplain, but then they only gave them $75 to relocate their entire lives. And while I don't know if you know much about Kenya, it is in fact a capitalist society. It does not go as far as you may be thinking to yourself. Okay. Let's look at some more of this. So more of this footage of Brazil.
Millions of people in the city of Porto Alegre, southern Brazil, are now bracing. On the next few days, their situation is likely to be this, or even worse, as heavy rains approach their state. On the next few days, they will have it just as bad or even worse as heavy rains that are expected through Sunday. The state capital of Rio Grande do Sul state in southern Brazil has been hit hard since last week. Authorities said on Wednesday that at least 100 people died and almost 130 are missing in the region. Hundreds of thousands lost their homes and more could follow soon. We flew over Porto Alegre and other cities of its metropolitan area this morning, and it was easy to see that some houses still had water through the roof. Some residents are choosing to return home anyway, but authorities say that the risk for them and for the entire state is far from over.
Yeah, because this whole weekend is just going to be rain for Brazil. It is unbelievable that it could continue in this way after such a massive historic-sized flood. For it to be continuing is unbelievable. Now, I don't know how many of you were here yesterday. And maybe I should have put this video in here. I didn't consider this. But this is kind of a follow-up to a video that we watched yesterday. Maybe I should just add it. Sorry, chat. I'm just trying to bring you context to this video we're about to watch. Okay. Hopefully I've done my job. This is something we watched yesterday. We're just going to watch it again. It's a very short clip. And it does not need any explanation.
A horse is stranded on a rooftop in a flooded area of Brazil. Chopper 2, or Chopper, not Chopper 2, they weren't that far south. Chopper video shows the animal standing on top of a building submerged in water, at least.
I don't know why this, we watched a different, I think we watched the AP's one yesterday. There was no commentary. I cannot believe that that woman is laughing at this. This is not funny. This is not funny. This shit is fucked. Okay, this horse is stranded on a fucking roof. I don't know if she knows anything about horses, but usually they don't hang out on roofs. Even though they have hooves. Just because they rhyme doesn't mean they go together. Oh, you just saw this? Yeah, we watched this last night. But today, that horse was rescued. And this is the video from that. I think he had been on that route for 6 days. He must have. We just became aware of this yesterday. And this morning we set up the team to go and rescue this horse. Insane. I mean, if he's correct, that horse was up there for 6 days. It must have been fucking dead tired. And I have no idea how they managed to get it off that roof. But it's a tiny, happy story amidst a bunch of tragedy. Okay, let's move on. I hope one day we fix climate change and we can laugh at this story together, but right now, it's disturbing. Imagine if you were that horse stuck for 6 days. Come on, you know? Okay, we're gonna look at this quickly. This I find distressing, because I was completely unaware of it. And I guess in the back of my head, I think I was like subconscious of this, but I just wasn't doing the math, and just wasn't letting this aspect of it bother me. But let's look at this from Global News first, from 6 hours ago. Could AI accelerate climate change? What? You need a fourth emotional support? You're at 40? Get out. Oh my god. Unbelievable. Okay. I will do that. 4. Who is 4? I think that's Jessica Fletcher. Okay, I'll give you your Jessica in a second, but let's look at this about how AI is accelerating climate change. And here's a little round of applause for you. Really good job.
Proponents say it could drive our cars and the world.
Microsoft is investing $3.3 billion to build a new data center here in Racine. That's going to help operate one of the most powerful artificial intelligence systems in the world.
But all that AI requires electricity. One expert warns it could come at a cost.
The only thing that I can see as a result of this increasing energy demand will typically result in increased use of fossil fuels, which will ultimately boost climate change.
A report from the International Energy Agency says OpenAI's ChatGPT uses about 10 times.
Okay, this is literally like the main thing I wanted to look at on this particular video. We have a second one after this, but look at this. Okay, this is an unmitigated disaster right here that I was not even considering. And I've typed a couple of queries into an AI search before, just for fun, to see what it would do or whatever, and in some other cases too. But I never considered just how much more we're talking about. This is 10 times as much energy per search. You go into Google and you search for something and it brings something up. 0.3 watt hours. You search it in ChatGPT, 3 watt hours. That's 10 to 1. That's it's bad. I hate these numbers. I really hate these numbers. Yes, I've somehow contributed fractionally to the problem and I feel shitty about it. Okay, let's. We're gonna look at a little bit of this discussion from BBC News from 6 hours ago. How big is AI's carbon footprint?
If you're watching The Context, it's time for our weekly regular segment, AI Decoded. Welcome to AI Decoded. Every week in this programme, we take you deep into the world of artificial intelligence. And what we've tried to do is focus these programmes on one particular theme. So last week, we looked at the advance of AI on the battlefield. Tonight, we're going to consider something a number of you have raised, and that is AI and energy, or more specifically, the energy that AI consumes. There are climate experts who are warning that
51 likes? How do you have 51 likes? Is that true? Even if it's a glitch, I don't care. You're giving it to you. Man, I'm running out of support characters over here. 1. Oh, we got Bacula. We got the OG Bacula in here. Good God. I'm impressed. Okay.
advance of artificial intelligence could lead to an 80% increase in our global carbon emissions.
Well, let's start with sustainability, because that cloud that AI models live on is actually made out of metal, plastic, and powered by vast amounts of energy. And each time you query an AI model, it comes with a cost to the planet.
That is Sasha Lucioni, lead climate researcher at the AI company Hugging Face. She's going to be joining us from Montreal in just a moment. How much energy are we using? Well, according to this report from Vox, AI is already consuming as much energy as a small country, and we are only at the beginning. The Next Web says this is where our two existential crises collide with one another, climate crisis and the exponential.
I think that's an AI image.
Growth of AI. Can one help solve the other, or will it exacerbate the problem? Here in the studio, our regular AI contributor, Priya Lakhani, CEO of the AI-powered education company Century Tech. Welcome.
Good to see you.
Right, look, when it comes to digital, everybody knows there is a cost. There's the wiring, there's the chips, there's the precious metals, there's the water that cools the data processing centers. What we often don't talk about is the energy that goes into producing AI, and specifically the training of AI language models like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're far more hungry than what we've seen before. So you have these AI models that you and I have talked about, we've shown, we've played with, right? These AI models are trained and they're deployed in data centers. And the data centers consume vast amounts of electricity. So if you are powering the data center with non-renewable sources, then essentially you have potentially huge carbon emissions. And those particular models that we're talking about, these generative AI models, not just language models, right? Not just LLMs in terms of chat models, but also the multimodal models, images, videos.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. Text is nothing, right? Think about it. Text, like, I don't know if you pay attention to the size of your files on your computer, but text files are literally tiny, almost inconsequential amounts of data, right? Unless you've got the Bible, multiple Bibles in there, really still not a consequential file size. You start talking about pictures, start talking about videos, start talking about 3D rendered files, stuff like that. Oh my God. I don't even want to know what the implications are. We just gotta stop before we fuck ourselves.
An enormous amount. So if you remember in about 2019, we used to say if you stream an hour of video, right, it was 36 grams of CO2. Just to put that into context for everyone, because that's why we're here, okay, that's driving a car, typical kind of petrol car, about 160 meters. Now Meta, they just released Llama 3 on Hugging Face, one of my favorite platforms, okay, and that model, they said, emitted about 2,290 metric tons of CO2. And so you're going to say, put that into context. That's about 500 average cars and what they emit in an entire year. So,
and the fact is, I wish we had time to watch this whole fucking video. We do not, but they go into a lot of depth. Now, some of their analysis, I don't know if I would agree with all of it, but because they have multiple different guests on during this discussion, but essentially, you know, you start adding all this stuff up, and then you start talking about the fact that countries all want their own, you know, massive AI model for themselves. So you know, you start talking about every single country having their own. The amount of heat created from these things alone, let alone the actual energy that's being used to do it, it's kind of blowing my mind. And I honestly didn't think about it until recently, just how much energy they were using. I assumed that it was I assumed it was just closer to like a regular computer, and that was a stupid assumption. She's beautiful. Yeah, she's a beautiful woman. Very true. AI is a glorified search engine trawling everything online for connective association. Yeah, it's a pretty good description of it, I would say. I know there's a little bit more to it, but I think that's a a well nutshelled description. Oh, okay, it's that time. Somehow I got distracted. So many things happening in chat today. Well, I hope everybody's been enjoying the stream so far. If you haven't already, like the stream and don't forget that subscribe button. If you'd like to contribute even more to the Galactic News Network and what we do here, well, you got one good option. Go to this link in chat and become a Galactic producer. For just a few dollars a month on Patreon, you can get access to all sorts of space benefits unseen by the rest of the galaxy. Grab yourself a drink, snack, dip in the pool. I'll be right back.
Trade unions have.
I don't want reality.
Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be proof at this juncture.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Get rid of the Second Amendment. It's science.
Okay, let's do it, chat. What do we got next? Global news time. I see we gained a few subscribers during the stream today. Amazing. Let's start in Argentina, where massive strikes are taking place over, what's his name? Oh God, Javier Milei's policies.
Trade unions have launched a massive strike in Argentina against their president's economic policies. They're walking off the job for 24 hours. The country's annual inflation rate reached 287% in March, one of the highest marks in the world. In Buenos Aires, many train stations, subways, and bus lines are empty. No transportation workers to keep anything moving there. Ignacio Botero with Telefe News from Buenos Aires reports.
Hello, Lana. I'm greeting you from a really cold Buenos Aires in a difficult day. Argentina is in total 24-hour national strike. The protest is promoted by the main union confederations in opposition to the economic decisions made by the government. This is the second national strike against President Javier Milei, who began in office last December. Transportation is the main service affected. Buses, trains, and subway are not operating throughout the whole country. There is also no garbage collection in any city. In the city of Buenos Aires, the lack of transportation affects almost 5 million people who enter and leave the city to get to their jobs. Aerolíneas.
So yeah, currently Argentina is completely shut down because the entire country, well, not the entire country, but most of the country is on strike because Javier Milei's policies have basically been to come in and, I don't know, gut all social security and everything that existed in Argentina beforehand. And he was always, what do you call it? Going on and on about how they need to get rid of socialist policies in Argentina. And now it doesn't seem like people are liking the effects of all that. Actually, we didn't even get to see the protests, because there are protests. So let's actually watch that. Why am I going backwards? Go backwards. Yes, there we go.
Argentinas informed that there was a cancellation of almost 200 flights that cost for the company almost $3 million. The normal functioning of schools, hospitals, and banking entities is also limited. The national strikes come in a key moment for the government of Javier Milei in the midst of negotiations with the...
Dang, this is hilarious. well, I don't know about hilarious or whether it's hilarious or sad, but this lady appears to be quite old, but she's out here protesting her ass off with everybody else.
For the government of Javier Milei, in the midst of negotiations with the opposition, the government seeks to approve the so-called Bases Law, Ley de Bases, in the Senate. The economic situation is also delicate. The recession generated a drop in worker salaries. Also, the construction activities fell 42% in March compared to the same month last year.
Yeah, so Argentina's not feeling Javier Milei's policies. He's an inept psychopath. That's a good description of him, I would say. Okay, now on to Europe, where we are going to start this off by talking about Eurovision. And this, how do I have this set up? We might skip through a few of these, but if you're unaware, there have been a large number of protests over Israel's participation in the Eurovision Song Contest, which is huge in Europe. Most people in America don't really pay attention to it at all. But it is, I think it's definitely consequential in terms of the grand scheme of things, in terms of like large groups of people being focused on this all at once. So let's talk about it, because there have been a great number of things related to this Israel situation. We're going to get into it, but first let's just start it off with this one. Calls to exclude Israel over its devastating military campaign in Gaza. This is from Reuters from 14 hours ago.
Hate wave is so enormous, and it...
Oh, I forgot about this one. I almost forgot about what this video is about to be. Okay, so this video right here. Okay, this one is going to cause some people to be upset, and I don't blame you. I'm also going to be upset a little bit too. But this is basically 2.5 minutes of people involved in Israel's song contest, or in Israel's song contest bid, if you will, complain for, yeah, pretty much this whole video about how people, you'll see, it's, yeah.
Hate wave is so enormous, and it made the Israeli fans feel so depressed, and again, disillusions.
In the run-up to Israel's semi-final performance on the Eurovision Song Contest stage on Thursday,
Even Reuters coming to terms? I'd wait on that judgment.
Israeli fan Oded Avraham said he feels despondent. Protests and boycotts are planned over the Israeli military campaign in Gaza, triggered by Hamas' October 7th attack on Israel.
We are
Oh my
all
God,
in
we
Israel
know, supposedly.
heartbroken, because of what happened on October 7th. And it adds up. We thought we are going for this escapistic, bubble, fun, campic.
This dude is completely out of touch. The fact he can sit here and be like, we thought we were going to come and have fun and escape all the sad stuff that we were dealing with back in Israel from October 7th. Specifically, you can tell he doesn't mention a single, I'll tell you this right now, he doesn't mention Palestine one time during this whole thing. So he's not upset about that, about what's happening in Palestine, the fact that millions of people are being starved to death and bombed by his military. Not worried about that. He's worried that they're just not having enough fun, and it's upsetting him.
And then it bursts in our face. Another thing bursts in our face. So it's disappointing.
Large pro-Palestinian protests are planned in Malmö, Sweden, where the song contest is hosted. Metal barricades and large concrete blocks have been put up around the arena, with police braced for possible unrest. On Wednesday, a vessel from Scandinavian NGO shipped to Gaza arrived at the port of Malmö, calling for solidarity with the people of Gaza. With stops in several European ports, The NGO aims to raise awareness of the situation for Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and will also attempt to break Israel's sea blockade of the Gaza coast. The European Broadcasting Union, EBU, which organizes Eurovision, has resisted calls for Israel to be excluded, but it has asked Israel to modify the lyrics of its original song October Rain, which appeared to reference.
Okay, speaking of that, let's talk about that, because I did a little digging into this. I don't know what compelled me to do this. So, the Eurovision Song Contest asked Israel to change the name of its song, October Rain, which I think we can all get the reference, right? You'd have to be kind of living under a rock not to get what they're trying to say, right? So they changed it to Hurricane, okay? They changed it from October Rain to Hurricane. However, if you look at the lyrics, which I'm just going to pull up for you here. Okay, maybe you can't see it very well, but if you look at this verse, right? where is it? There's actually where is it? Like a lot of this is like straight up like word for word. Took my light, everything is black and white. Who's the fool? Who told you boys don't cry? Like it's like literally like it's all just word for word, and it's all just like imagery about Israel's supposed, you know, like just victimhood essentially, and it makes a lot of sense that people are upset about all of it, honestly. Okay, we got a little more to look at that. DMCA that? DMCA what? Huh? I'm confused.
What is Eurovision? The short answer is very simple. Eurovision is a music competition in which countries from across Europe, and a few that aren't a part of Europe, come together, they each send an act, and those acts compete in front of a live and televised audience for votes to be crowned champions of Europe and to take home the famous trophy of a crystal microphone. The longer answer is that Eurovision is so much more than just a music competition. It's a sort of music festival. It's a celebration of music's ability to bring people together. It's also a form of...
The way I'd put it is it's like it's like Europe's it's like the Olympics of music for Europe.
Diplomacy with music, really, in which countries try to form alliances with others. They will all perform in semifinals, and the 37 will be whittled down to 26 acts that will compete on Saturday night at the Malmo Arena in the grand final. This year, acts that are being talked about and that bookmakers figure have a good chance include a Swiss singer called Nemo, who has a great operatic song called The Code. Nemo would be the first person who identifies as non-binary to win, so that would be quite a landmark.
Jesus Christ. These people are ridiculous. What a landmark if Israel were to win. What a win for non-binary people everywhere. Jesus Christ. Okay. Alright, let's look at this, where Israel's act was booed at dress rehearsal ahead of the semi-final. Eurovision organizers rejected the singer's first entry. But yeah. So yeah, she gets booed for quite a long time and goes through the whole thing. It just, it's interesting because here's the thing. Russia was disallowed from going to the 2017, I believe it was the 2017 Eurovision after they invaded Ukraine the first time, I think. The blurring, I think it's because that was from the Islam channel. I don't believe she was completely naked, but I think it may have been a religious objection to what she was wearing. But let's look at this from 9 hours ago, where we can see the actual protests themselves outside of the Eurovision in Malmo. Malmo? Is that how you say it? I think it is. Thousands of protesters gathered where the 2024 Eurovision Song Contest was held. Activists are protesting against Israel's participation in the song contest ahead of this year's second semi-final. They gathered in the central square. Was it 2023 when they were banned? Why do I think it's 2017? So yeah, as you can see, thousands of people showed up to protest what was going on at Eurovision. I gotta look this up because I could have sworn that it was the war. The war is that old, technically. People just ignored it until 2020. It started in 2015 when they first invaded Crimea and the Donbass. I may be right. Okay, see, that's what I thought. But I'm just going to double check it. Oh, no, I'm wrong. I'm thinking of a different thing. Hold on. Hold on, maybe not. Oh, wait, no, yeah. It was because of the travel ban. There was a travel ban. And so the singer wasn't allowed to travel there. But that same year, if you're... Actually, you know what? Fuck this video. You know what? Screw this. I don't even feel like dealing with this anymore. No, actually, no. We're going to look at this. This is from the same year that happened to Russia. I don't know if you remember this channel, but if you remember Columbia Semite Diversity or whatever it's called, if anybody here remembers that, I can't remember the name of this channel, and it's in Hebrew, so I cannot read it. But this is something that they put out 7 years ago. And they're a massive network in Israel. I should know the name of this. But this is a, like a very, very cringy fucking sketch that they did here about the Eurovision. You'll see. This is just entitled ISIS in Eurovision.
Good evening. In the Eurovision, we always want more of everything. More songs, more unnecessary stages, more countries. And this year, we are welcoming another new member to the competition. The Islamic State of Iraq and Al-Sham, known as ISIS, who sent us their band Abu with the song Boomzy Bomb, Boomzy Bam.
I love this feeling.
Don't know, I'm not dreaming.
Tonight we're together, you know. It's a must.
It's a must.
It will be a blast.
Eurovision is cool. When you come from Mosul.
Where is the airport? It's there.
Where are you flying?
No.
Okay, I think you all get it. It's fucking cringe as shit. Yeah, this is whatever. I think it's Israel's SNL, if you will. They've been around for like decades. I cannot remember the name of this fucking network. And I feel stupid for it. I gotta look this up now. It's killing me. Hold on. Eretz Nehederet. Eretz Nehederet. Yeah, those are the same people who did the Columbia... Welcome to Columbia Unity video from 6 months ago, right after the Hamas attack. And it was one of the most cringe videos I'd ever seen up to that point. But I just thought we'd watch this one because, honestly, they are in the middle of crying about being they're not even being excluded. Nobody stopped them from going to Sweden to participate in Eurovision. They're there. There's just people protesting them. And, you know, we watched a video at the beginning where they were just basically crying for the camera about how they weren't having as much fun as they were expecting or whatever. And they didn't like how people were criticizing their government for genocide. And meanwhile, you got this fucking video with the, you know, the purple-haired, whatever her name is. I don't know any of their names, but the yeah, exactly. It's just it is insane the amount of hypocrisy here, right? Like they're saying, oh, like Eurovision's gonna let ISIS, and of course they'd never let ISIS compete in Eurovision, right? But the fact is like right now their government is committing a genocide and they're still at Eurovision, right? It's just this sort of insane like like dichotomy. Oh god, what in the hell was that? Okay, let's move along here. I don't know why, but like when I was searching for more about this Eurovision protest, I got recommended that video and it just pissed me off, and so we had to watch it. I am sorry. Okay. All right, this is from a day ago where police broke up pro-Palestinian student protests in Amsterdam. They are still going on, folks. People have not given up. Jesus Christ. What the fuck? They're just beating the shit out of these kids. This is completely fucked. What a shot. This this camera person is a goddamn hero. This is the best shot I've ever seen. You got the Free Palestine helmet on the ground. And just an entire platoon of jackbooted thugs raining down terror on these protesters. Fuck's sake. Cameraman deserves a fucking medal for that one. And the blurs were perfect. Okay. Alright, we're moving on. Let's go to Africa real quickly and discuss this. Where, according to France 24, paramilitary attacks in Sudan's Darfur. Possibly genocide. Human Rights Watch says. Wait, do I have to line this one up? No, I think we're
Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, we were running and saw bodies everywhere. Days of killings, months of massacres. Survivors from the Darfuri city of El Ganina tell Human Rights Watch of a blood-chilling campaign of violence against the Masalit people amidst Sudan's year-long war. Also, Kenya enjoys its first full day with doctors on the job. There's relief to the millions of patients who suffered through months of limited health services that were crippled by a...
That's right. I do have to line this up. Okay.
1,000 people are feared to have been killed in the city of El Ganina. Throughout the country, the region of Darfur may have seen another genocide 20 years after its first. 15,000 people are feared to have been killed in the city of El Ganina. In a harrowing investigation, Human Rights Watch has collected stories of survivors who faced systematic execution, persecution, and abuse by the RSF. Masalit peoples were mainly targeted. They were the victims. They were amongst the victims of genocide committed in Darfur during the 2000s by the RSF's predecessor, the feared Janjaweed. Researchers said that even the tens of thousands of people fleeing the city weren't left alone, as Arab militiamen hunted them down and meted out torture and murder. Jean-Baptiste Galopin is one of the report's authors. Jean-Baptiste, thank you so much for coming in. It was a harrowing read, undoubtedly far worse to have experienced. What were people telling you?
So, you know, we went to the camps in eastern Chad, the refugee camps, where the vast majority of the population of the Masalit population of El Ganina fled, almost the totality of the Masalit from El Ganina. We couldn't find anyone who didn't have stories of seeing people they knew being killed or surviving a massacre. You know, El Ganina...
That is It is a fucked up statistic, right? They couldn't find a single person who hadn't witnessed someone being murdered or an actual massacre. I don't know exactly how many people you have to kill percentage-wise in a population for that to be the case, but it is horrifying to think it at all.
It's a city that was hosting a large Masalit population. It was the center of the Masalit people. And during the 2000s, many people were displaced from villages outside into the outskirts of the city. And then they were attacked again in 2019 to 2021 in renewed waves of attacks after the UN withdrew a peacekeeping mission. And what we saw from late April until mid-June last year and again in November were repeated waves of attacks by the RSF and allied militias against Masalit majority neighborhoods, but also against sites hosting displaced people. And the number of people who were killed is unknown, but it's certainly at least thousands of people, if not more. You know, there were already thousands of people killed on the 15th of June when a very large-scale massacre happened. You know, the RSF and militias opened fire.
Actually, we do know, or at least some of us know, that LEDs are 10 times as efficient as normal lights, and that mimicking the abdomen of fireflies, they can increase their output. We looked at a story about that, what was it, like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, maybe?
Convoy that was kilometers long of people trying to flee the city all at once and killed vast numbers of people, including, you know, women, children, older people, injured people, you know, people who were trying to swim across the river. And so
oh, good God. And there's millions of people in Sudan that are currently in a threat of not just violence but of starvation, and it's a fucking humanitarian catastrophe that's just like we're watching in slow motion. Just another one. The RSF is just a rebrand of the Janjaweed. Yeah, after the crimes got too well known, had to change their names. Got to rebrand. A little marketing. Okay, let's talk about Russia real quick here. This is from 13 hours ago, where Russia celebrates its 79th anniversary of its victory over Nazi Germany with its Red Square Parade.
Переживают за вас и наши ветераны. Реваншизм, издевательство над историей, стремление оправдать нынешних последователей нацистов. Это часть общей политики западных элит по разжиганию все новых региональных конфликтов, межнациональной и межрелигиозной вражды, поддерживанию суверенных, независимых центров мирового развития и духовная сопричастность. Мы отмечаем День Победы в условиях проведения специальной военной операции.
In the context of the special military operation,
те, кто на передовой, на линии боевого соприкосновения, это наши герои. Мы преклоняемся перед вашей стойкостью и самопожертвованием,
That makes no sense.
С вами
We bow to your perseverance, self-sacrifice, and dedication. Russia is with you.
Мы отвергаем претензии любого государства или
We
альянса на
reject claims of exclusivity by any state or alliance.
непомерность таких амбиций.
Russia will do everything to
Россия
prevent
будет
global
делать все,
confrontation.
чтобы не допустить глобального.
Russia will do everything to prevent global confrontation. You're threatening people with nukes. Did it very recently. It's like last week.
Но в то же время никому не позволим угрожать нам. Наша стратегическая.
In fact, wasn't it this week? Wasn't it like Monday? Or like Sunday? It was like days ago this guy was talking about launching nukes at people, and meanwhile saying he's keeping the globe from turning to What? What the fuck is he talking about?
I don't want reality.
Okay. Here's more of Russia celebrating how great they are. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, the fireworks are nice, but yeah, I'm not so sure that they need to keep celebrating the defeat of the Nazis. Because I got something for us to look at. Let's look at this from 2 years ago from Novara Media. Russia's Nazi problem is as bad as Ukraine's.
Vladimir Putin has claimed he wants to denazify Ukraine, describing the country's leaders as a band of drug addicts and neo-Nazis. On a recent show, we took a detailed look at the Ukrainian far right. We concluded that Ukraine is not run by neo-Nazis or drug addicts, but they do have a far right problem. We also concluded that whatever the reality of the Ukrainian far right, it had nothing to do with why Putin is actually waging his criminal war. Here, though, we want to add a different argument to that one and explain why Putin's claim to be a denazifier is not only opportunistic, but also hypocritical. That's because Russia has its own Nazi problem, and if Putin really wanted to challenge fascism, he'd be better off starting at home. There is, of course, plenty of recent evidence that Putin's Russia has become fascist. Its troops are committing war crimes while the free press is shut down at home. And popular movements in Russia do, right now, look pretty fascist.
The Russian special operation in Ukraine is a consequence of the death of over 14,000 people in the Donbass, including 150 innocent children. It's a consequence of a direct military threat to our own country. Today, our army is finishing the work of the heroes of the great patriotic and cleansing Europe. Our goal is to help the state achieve its noble vision, but not to interfere, but to support and inspire it. At the same time, certain personalities here in Russia use hypocritical slogans. I'm ashamed, while calling on people to join protests. Russian cities are the rear of our armed forces, and we promise not to leave it unprotected. The objective will be completed, whether you like it or not. I appeal to our military. Keep working, brothers. Be sure that for us, you are heroes.
But here, like we did with Ukraine, we want to take a step back and look at the recent history of militarism and proto-fascist politics in Russia. It's perhaps even more complicated than that in Ukraine. We can start our story just over a decade ago when ultra-nationalist demonstrations were held across Russia each November. They were called Russia Marches and met under the slogan, "It's our country." The marches drew crowds of thousands and united a number of active far-right political groups around anti-immigrant hate, Slavic nationalism, and anti-LGBT sentiment.
Like a Hitler salute.
And they would often turn violent. In this clip from 2011, a crowd has decided that this man has Caucasian features and so have beaten him badly. When he's taken to an ambulance, they go on to attack.
And just to make sure that you're aware, in Russia, Caucasian means something completely different than how we view it in America. There, it's essentially a slur against Muslims, Arabs, and like Mongols, like the Asian people of Russia. It's not what you might think.
The vehicle. Far-right groups on these marches included the DPNI. That stands for Movement Against Illegal Immigration, and these are their flags, which were visible in the footage we showed you. Of the group, the Sova Center, which is a Russian NGO tracking racism and nationalism, they wrote, "The DPNI readily provides itself as a, quote, umbrella structure to local groups of Nazi skinheads, providing them with assistance, including legal assistance. Skinheads associated with DPNI have been implicated in attacks on foreigners, members of sexual minorities, anti-fascists, and adherents of, quote, non-traditional religions." Another group at the march
sounds pretty fascist.
Was Slavic.
Why isn't Putin worried about this?
Union. This was a neo-Nazi white supremacist organization committed to creating a single Slavic state. It expressly modeled itself on aspects of Germany's Nazi party. Its Cyrillic abbreviation, CC, means SS in the Latin alphabet. And its leader was this man, Dmitry Demushkin. Remember his name, he'll appear...
Okay, hold on, I'm just gonna move us forward a little bit. Actually, maybe we'll watch a little bit more.
Again, later in this story. Also on those marches was the National Socialist Society. This was founded in 2004 and was an explicitly neo-Nazi ultra-right party. Of them, Sova writes, "The Nationalist Socialist Society was a distinctive organization. It organized meetings and even tried to run in local elections. In short, it behaved as a legal Nazi organization. At the same time, members of this organization committed violent crimes, including murder. Even at the time, though, this was no secret." It's important to be clear.
Yeah. Yeah, the flag is an obvious swastika ripoff. Yeah, no kidding. It really is. Sorry, I'm just trying to skip ahead for us a little bit.
This is Piotr Sauer, a journalist who has reported extensively on the group.
Wagner has operated alongside Russia's Ministry of Defense on multiple occasions. So even though Putin won't be commanding Wagner soldiers himself or anything along those lines, I think Putin endorses the use of Wagner alongside the regular army. And I think he sees it as a useful group, which gives him this plausible deniability wherever they go to say, well, this isn't us, this is sort of a special group that we have nothing to do with.
And the EU have imposed sanctions and travel bans on Wagner, stating, "The Wagner Group is responsible for serious human rights abuses in Ukraine, Syria, Libya, the Central African Republic, Sudan, and Mozambique, which include torture and extrajudicial, summary, or arbitrary executions and killings. This includes the torturing to death of a Syrian deserter by 4 members of the Wagner Group in June 2017 in the governorate of Homs, Syria. According to a former member of the Wagner Group, Dmitry Utkin personally ordered the torturing to death of the deserter as well."
It's fucking insane. And honestly, they deep dive this, and it's quite fascinating and stuff that I was honestly not familiar with. But they do a great job in Navarmuta. If you're not already, definitely subscribe to them. They know what is up. We don't have time to watch that whole video. And if we don't watch the whole video, it means maybe you'll go and watch it there at some point. Okay, let's watch something else here. What's next? Alright, let's go moving further into Asia. Associated Press from 22 hours ago. China criticizes U.S. Actually. No, yeah. This happened at the same time. I don't know if they're actually the same incident. I don't think they are. No, they're not. Okay. Yeah. Alright, so this happened at the same fucking time. This is from 22 hours ago. China criticizes the U.S. for a ship's passage through the Taiwan Strait. Play. Oh, right. Forgot there's no audio for this, but basically, a ship went through the Taiwan Strait, which China claims as its territorial waters, although part of it is disputed as being international waters. Well, it's not even really disputed. If I'm not mistaken, the part of the Taiwan Strait just is international waters, or at least the waters in between Taiwan and... I'm trying to... Hold on, let me look at this. I guess I might be saying this incorrectly. I don't want to say it wrong. But... yeah, it's technically, according to the rules of whatever, maritime law, part of the Taiwan Strait. Not all of it is international waters. And, but China is not a fan of that. And they continue to dispute waters outside of their technical legal jurisdiction, and it is causing a lot of problems. Now, this is from the exact same time, and which is why I was so confused. This is also from the AP. U.S. and Philippine forces sink mock ship during drills in disputed South China Sea. Wait. Yeah.
The ability of both the U.S. And the Filipino, Army and Air Force to work together to achieve this is extremely lethal. So it's a great step forward for everyone.
I don't think, me personally, I don't think it's a great step forward for everyone. I think it's a little ridiculous to be blowing up vessels in the middle of the ocean just to prove that you can do it. We can do it. Enough of the posturing. It's out of control. Okay. Let's take a little look at this from 19 hours ago. From TLDR News. Is Japan's one-party system finally coming to an end?
This video was brought to you by Nebula. Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party have been in power almost continuously since its inception in 1955, having only been out of power for a handful of years from 1993 to 1994 and 2009 to 2012. But the party looks to be in an increasingly difficult position as a...
So for 70 years, 70 years, Japan's ruling party has only been out of power for four of those years.
Party that just lost 3 by-elections in one day, has a deeply unpopular prime minister, is slipping in the polls, and is still reeling from a major scandal while facing a weak economy. So, as we'll answer in this video, why are things going so badly for the LDP? Is Japan...
Now, I think the suggestion that Japan has a weak economy is somewhat... I don't know if it's disingenuous, because that would speak to his intent, but I think it's a more complicated question than just whether or not their currency is worse, like off, quote unquote, like if it's lower against the dollar or something. I don't think that's really a good metric for that necessarily.
Really gearing up to boot out its long dominant conservative government, and could the fragmented opposition really break up the LDP's dominance? Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos.
Thanks.
So, let's start by taking a look at the LDP's recent by-election losses. There were 3 by-elections to Japan's House of Representatives on April 28th. One in Nagasaki, one in Tokyo, and one in Shimane. all three having been former LDP seats. Now, the first two were triggered following the resignation of two LDP lawmakers implicated in the major slush fund scandal that we'll come to later. Given this context, the LDP decided not to field candidates in these two seats, and as such, they were won by the main opposition Constitutional Democratic Party, or CDP. Instead, the LDP decided to go all in on the Shimane by-election, triggered by the death of a senior LDP lawmaker. But they also lost there pretty heavily to the CDP. Now, this is a big deal because Shimane is known as a conservative stronghold, and the seat has been held by the LDP since the current electoral system was implemented in 1996, making the loss all the more damaging for the LDP. And to be honest, these three losses are just the latest in a series of setbacks for Japan's LDP government, led by Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. The LDP's popularity had already been dented following the assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in mid-2022.
What? The Taiwan Strait isn't international waters? What are you basing that claim on? Just because the Republic of China claims to be the legitimate government of Taiwan? I know some Taiwanese people who would greatly object to that. But even so, it still wouldn't. I don't believe the Strait of Taiwan is only what, 400 miles across. I think it's more than that. I could be wrong. Either way, it would still be disputed. Have I seen the Creator Palestine Fund? No, I haven't. Should look that up. Hold on. I'm just gonna move us forward to different spot in this video. Okay, right here.
With any particular party has increased to more than 40%. So that raises the big question. Could the LDP really fall from power, giving Japan a non-LDP government for only the third time in almost 70 years? To answer that question, we need to talk about Japan's opposition parties, which have long struggled to break the LDP's dominance. As you can see from the party identification polling graph, there are quite a few opposition parties, none of which come particularly close to the LDP even after its decline in the polls. Though it's the center-left CDP that tops the opposition pack. Now, if the CDP is to lead the next government, it will have to overcome a number of challenges. The main one being winning over those voters, now the largest group, who identify as independent or non-affiliated. And there are a number of signs that the CDP is actually doing well in this regard, as exit polls from the recent by-elections show that it was the CDP who won the most support from independent voters in...
Okay, so that was basically the information that I thought was relevant somewhat, and yeah, I just thought it was interesting to sort of pick apart what the Japanese system of government has been like for the last 70 years, being pretty much ruled by one party for the entire time, and then you know, having some issues now, and it appears that their biggest competition is to the left, although it is not far left by any stretch of the imagination. But the fact is that the ruling party is very, very conservative, so could change things in Japan. Here's a link to the post. Okay, check it out. Tiltify. Oh, okay. So it's a oh wow, I've already raised $93,000. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I honestly don't know. Where can you tell me where you found this? Because I don't know much about this campaign or who started it. Palestine is raising money for Palestine children's relief. They're registered 501c3. Where'd you find this? Hassan, Curtis, Connor, Funky Frog, Bait, and so many more. Okay. All right, let's look at this. All right, this is from... Is this where we're at now? Okay, yeah, we're going to discuss Gaza and Israel stuff. This is from 21 hours ago, where USC Faculty Senate has censured the president and provost.
And the group that represents USC's faculty voted tonight to censure the university's president and provost. They say Carol Folt and Andrew Guzman mishandled the events surrounding commencement this year. That vote happened just as USC's graduation ceremonies began today. NBC4's Darsha Phillips live outside of campus with the latest for us. Darsha.
Yeah, Colleen, this is just a formal disapproval by the faculty senate. It holds no power over the provost or the president, but it certainly adds to the feeling of turmoil on campus.
The latest move highlighting the tensions on campus at USC. The school's faculty senate voted to censure University President Carol Folt and Provost Andrew Guzman over their handling of the events surrounding commencement. The vote, an expression of some faculty members' frustration over both leaders' decisions in the last several weeks, including canceling Asna Tabasum's commencement speech, canceling the main stage graduation ceremony, and how Free Palestine protests on campus were dealt with. Nearly 100 protesters were arrested. Most were students.
I think this is great because the USC completely bungled this entire thing. They cracked down on students. I mean, we saw images of teachers getting thrown to the ground, if I'm not mistaken, on USC's campus. It has been a fucking disaster. Then they canceled that valedictorian speech for being Muslim, and you know, there's just been time and time again where they're just doing the wrong thing. Calling the cops on protesters obviously was one of those things, but fact is that girl should have been able to fucking speak. And the reasoning that they gave for it, if I recall correctly, was supposedly that they thought her speaking would be too inflammatory. Which is honestly a little racist, if you ask me. Now let's look at some very no video? I know there's not, because I'm just talking. Did you not see any of it? Because that wasn't intentional. But let's just move on to this very annoying video here. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but this is from 8 hours ago, where John Fetterman spoke to the press.
That was actually one of my questions to you.
Sorry, hold on. Yeah.
That was one of my questions to you. What do you say to him?
Now tell me if this annoys you as much as it annoys me. Or just tell me if this annoys you, okay? But for this entire discussion, from the very beginning of it, he takes this very disaffected sort of posture, and he does not look up from his phone more than, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 times during like a 5-minute interview.
That's actually one of my questions to you.
Sorry, hold on. Yeah.
That was one of my questions to you. What do you say to him?
Can anyone wish Menendez good luck for next week for that sleazeball? But he's still showing up for his asking and talking about junk fees. Yeah.
Why is this guy looking at his fucking phone giggling? Is he on TikTok or something? This dude's supposed to be a goddamn congressman. Take this at least a little seriously. What an asshole.
What if he's acquitted and runs for re-election?
I guess we'll see. But what's clearly happened, he got lucky the last trial. I think there was one holdout, and he got off on that. And some people would say I should be more careful, or I should fly straight. But now he, thought it's like I can get away with anything, and then he tripled down on
as long as you fly Boeing.
All of that. So
have you talked to him at all?
I don't know why he thinks it's awkward. I don't think it's awkward at all. And he perhaps even said to you that.
Where is he looking right now? He never looks at the person asking him a question. He doesn't look at the camera. What is he looking at? He refuses to engage with this guy. It's so frustrating. I forget this guy's name, but it's just insane.
Anywhere.
This guy is such an asshole. Like, he just doesn't give a shit.
And I said, no, you are. You're going somewhere. It's going to be a trial or an election, and it's actually both.
Oh, maybe he's using his phone for communication assistance. Is that what you're saying? Interesting.
I thought. And he won't be around much longer. That would be my bet.
And just on the Israel decision by the president to decide to withhold this shipment if it moves forward with a major incursion to Rafah, you're concerned about it. Is that right?
I am concerned about that, and I don't agree with.
Sorry, I got distracted listening to chat. This is actually the part that I wanted to pay attention to.
Decide to withhold this shipment if it moves forward with a major incursion to Rafah. You're concerned about it. Is that right?
I am concerned about that, and I don't agree with the president. Now, that doesn't change my opinion of the president. We have an amazing president.
So he disagrees with the very most limited sort of like tap on the hand of Israel in this moment where they're considering it, where they're engaging in genocide. He thinks that's bad. They need more weapons. They need those 2,000 bombs. They need those 500-pound bombs. That is his stance. He's like, oh, it's wrong to withhold this aid to Israel right now.
And I take this opportunity to slam anyone that's going to abandon Biden or uncommitted for Biden or anything.
Oh, even uncommitted, huh? Wow. It literally is the most sort of performative thing, the uncommitted thing, which I approve of, but I mean, it doesn't do anything in terms of Biden getting elected, right? It was a move during the primary. What is this guy even talking about? He doesn't even approve of people protesting with their vote for a primary. What a pathetic person.
We can agree or disagree on certain issues, and that's where I'm at on that. And overall, the president has an incredibly great, strong connection and commitment to Israel. But in that situation, we just happen to agree about it.
What are you concerned about specifically?
I'm concerned that in some way, it demonstrates to Hamas that they're winning the PR.
Oh my God. It demonstrates to Hamas that they're winning the PR war. Is he even aware that Palestine has people in it that aren't in Hamas? Or does he just think all Palestinians are Hamas? It's fucking insane. There's millions of people there that aren't Hamas, that are in danger. There's over 1 million people in Rafah who are in danger right now because of what Israel is gearing up to do. And this guy is concerned about the PR war with Hamas? What a fucking useless person.
And also, the president cares about the casualties, innocents in Gaza, and Hamas doesn't. I mean, that's part of the plan. So they are exploiting compassion, the president's compassion or American.
Wow, this guy's such an asshole. Oh, God.
Compassion and other, that we want to minimize those kinds of a death, but Hamas really.
This guy's garbage. All right, we're done with this. We can't watch this whole thing. I cannot stand it anymore. Just assume that the rest of it is equally as stupid and insensitive and lacking any real attempt at being a human being in this moment. All right, let's look at this from 5 hours ago. This is CBS News. Major shift in U.S.-Israel relations after Biden threatens to withhold weapons.
President Biden says that the U.S. will stop supplying Israel with offensive weapons if its military moves forward with a full-scale major invasion of Rafah. He made that comment a day after we learned that the U.S. had paused a shipment of roughly 3,500 bombs to Israel over concerns that the weapons would be used in Gaza's most densely populated city. We have team coverage of the developments coming out of the Middle East. Nancy Cordes is standing by at the White House, and we start with Rami Inocencio there in.
What, you think that he might have some of those RFK brainworms? It's possible.
Tel Aviv. So, Rami, tell us, how are officials there reacting to the president's remarks that the U.S. will withhold weapons if Israel invades Rafah?
Well, Lana, good to see you. The far-right politicians in Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government have been the most angry and the most vocal. His national security minister, who is an ultra-nationalist firebrand, Itamar Ben-Gvir, posted on X, Hamas loves Biden, and then used a heart emoji. A legislator from Netanyahu's own Likud party said Biden's action not only jeopardizes Israel, but the entire free world. But there were moderate voices, too. The president of Israel, for example, Isaac Herzog, basically told those far-right voices to quiet down, that they were hurting national security, and then thanked Biden by name and said the U.S. is Israel's greatest ally. But I think the larger question is how Israel actually does handle this.
It's our greatest ally, huh? Okay.
The government. We spoke to an Israeli national security expert this morning. That was at the Institute for National Security Studies. And Professor Chuck Freilich told me that the defense establishment is very, very deeply disturbed, and there is a threat of more pauses hanging over them of future weapon shipments, a very, very strong possibility.
I certainly hope that happens. It's about fucking time, too. We've been screaming about this shit over and over again. Herzog is moderate. Yeah, it's CBS News. What do you expect from them exactly? They're like the worst, I feel like, on this. They're one of the absolute worst. But I am still I think I've said it multiple times now. I just use them for the goddamn headline and just read the headline out and then just watch 30 seconds of the video and stop it, complain about them, complain about what they've said, and then move the fuck on, okay? You know, I can't stop CBS from being terrible, you know? All I can do is criticize. Alright, let's look at this fucking disturbing headline here from PBS NewsHour. 5 hours ago, Netanyahu vows that Israel will continue Rafah operations after U.S. freezes bomb delivery. So this is after he finds out that we're planning on freezing the bomb deliveries, and he's still like, no, we don't need the bombs. Which is what I actually said earlier. He's like, they don't need the fucking bombs. We've already given them enough. They're, you know, they're good to go.
Welcome to the News Hour. Today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his country would, quote, stand alone if necessary, a response to President Biden's recent move to pause deliveries of some bombs to Israel. That decision has created a possible turning point in the U.S.-Israel relationship and the war in Gaza, with the fate of hostage negotiations in the balance. Israel is now poised to expand its operation in Rafah, a step the U.S. is warning Netanyahu not to take. Nick Schifrin begins our coverage.
In southern Israel, tanks are massed and nearly ready for an assault.
It's a goddamn tank parking lot. Did you see how many were there? What the fuck?
In southern Israel, tanks are massed and nearly ready for an assault. They fire at Rafah, where ongoing airstrikes rip the roofs off homes, toppled minarets, and killed victims who are so easy to carry, the burden becomes all the heavier. And President Biden is concerned an expanded military operation would kill more Gazans like Yazan Hassan Mohammed.
That's like
civilians
that's
have
a
been killed
baby.
in Gaza as a consequence of those bombs and other ways in which they go after population centers. And I made it clear that if they go into Rafah, they haven't gone into Rafah yet. If they go into Rafah, I'm not supplying the weapons that have been used historically to deal with Rafah.
But Hamas,
oh no, not the historic weapons,
fights from Rafah, including with mortars that last weekend killed 4 Israeli soldiers and blocked humanitarian aid. Israel is determined to eliminate Hamas's final.
Because let's remember that, actually, because he was very specific with his words there for a reason. And if you recall, the only things that they're even saying that they are going to stop sending, they're not going to stop sending bullets, they're not going to stop sending guns, they're not going to stop sending planes, they're not going to stop sending money. They're just going to stop sending 2,000 and 500-pound bombs. That's it. That's literally it. They can buy whatever the fuck they want aside from those 2 things. Oh, let me get the ruler to hit your hand, Israel. You've been bad.
Battalions, no matter what the U.S. says, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said today.
If we need to stand alone, we will stand alone. I've said that if necessary, we will fight with our fingernails, but we have much more than...
Did he say Rafah at the end? I thought he said Palestine. But maybe. Either way, he was just trying to say it without saying it, that we're still giving them weapons, and it's just... it's literally not enough, and it's definitely... What's the phrase? It's, too little, too late. Too little, too late. Something like that. I need a phrase book.
Fingernails, and with that same strength of spirit, with God's help, together we will win.
The fighting has forced some 80,000 Gazans, many already displaced, to flee Rafah. The main hospital is closed, its rooms abandoned. Humanitarian aid...
Biden just admitted that Israel bombards population centers. I mean, I think you're right. I think he did say that, didn't he? Yeah. I mean, I don't see how he could possibly keep the lies straight for this long anyway. I mean, we've known this. It's impossible not to have known that. Right? You have to keep your head buried in the sand and not be able to hear anything, too. Especially as president, because you got people coming at you all the time telling you what's happening around the world. You know, you'd have to put in a concerted effort not to know that they're bombing population centers. But yeah, they've been kind of pretending that they haven't for now, I guess. Guess you're right. I kind of just went by it without even noticing it because, you know, it's like we've known this whole time historically. We've known historically what's happening. Just rewind it and hear it for myself. I could do that. You're right. We're just talking about it. We could hear it again. Where was Biden? Where is he? Back here.
As a consequence of those bombs and other ways in which they go after population centers. And I made it clear that...
Yeah, you definitely just said that.
Ways in which they go after population centers. So those bombs and other ways in which they go after population centers.
Huh. Yep. He definitely said it.
Trucks are stuck in Egypt. There is only 1 to 2 days of fuel left since Israel seized and closed the border, the UN said this week.
The first act is to stop the fuel, stop the food, stop the medicine at source, at the border. I don't call that limited, and I don't call that restricted. I call that a re-imposition of total blockade on nearly 2.5 million civilians.
The fate of Rafah is connected to the fate of Israeli hostages. Every night, their families march through Tel Aviv, demanding the government accept a deal that would pause the war to release their loved ones.
Today, national security.
Jesus Christ. That's quite a revelation. One of those Biden gaffes that, well, kind of reveals the entire hypocrisy all at once. What's Nightbot doing? Joe Biden is 134 years old. It sounds right. I'm not a mathematician. Okay. Well, unfortunately, we have even more frustrating videos, multiple, in a row, before we can get to the end of this stream. Start with this one. This is from Guardian News from 15 hours ago, where roads are blocked by Israeli protesters protesting the delivery of aid to Gaza. Israeli demonstrators blocked the road to protest against the delivery of aid to Gaza Strip. The protesters scattered rocks across the road to prevent... God damn it, why is it moving so fast? I cannot read that fast out loud. Son of a bitch. The protesters scattered rocks across the road to prevent vehicles from passing. Look at it. They're doing everything they can possibly think of to just stop people from surviving. This is not war, this is genocide. Even regular people are getting involved. Drone footage shows trucks and other vehicles stuck in traffic jams. Look at it. It's going for like a literal, like half a mile or something. This is insane. Maybe it's longer than a mile. How long is this? Hard to tell. All that could be going to starving Palestinians. Meanwhile, selfish, ethnic cleansey Israelis are blocking the roads, keeping that aid from getting to them. Don't even need the government to stop the aid from getting in. It's utterly depressing. Boy, it's getting late. Alright, this is... Okay, we have two videos here to watch in a row. There were two separate attacks on UNRWA's facility in occupied East Jerusalem in the last 2 days. This was from a day ago. You can see Israeli protesters attempting to vandalize UNRWA's headquarters in occupied East Jerusalem. The head of UNRWA condemned the demonstrators, who gathered to damage the property. Look, they're just bashing at the wall of it. You can see a bunch of them had like hammers and just smashing the fucking wall. They reiterated the host country's duty to protect UN staff All right, now let's look at this next one, where a fire broke out outside of UNRWA's HQ, and after this happened, they have officially closed this facility in occupied East Jerusalem. Essentially, I believe that was the last UNRWA facility in either Israel or Gaza, and it was just from what I can tell, it's just a like administrative facility. It's like it's the headquarters, right? They're meant to network aid operations from here, and you can see the ground is completely charred, where people tried to start a fire. Well, they did start a fire, but it was put out. However, it's caused UNRWA to completely leave the region. What should I do? Should check the last bookmark on their weekly show. Who are you talking about? Okay, alright, let's look at this last one here. Well, it's actually not the last one. This is the penultimate video. This is from 10 hours ago. Gaza Aid Warehouse. Oh, sorry. Gaza Aid warehouses are almost empty after closure of border crossings. Yeah, that looks almost empty to me. Oh, this is for me.
فيش مساعدات امدادات منهم، مش هالمساعدات اللي انت تتوقعها، بما انه احنا قاعدين في بركسات وكاله. اللي برا لسه يمكن في عندهم امدادات اكثر من هيك. احنا عايش على لفه كلينس، على فلقه صابونه، بس ما فيش امدادات يعني زي ما انتم من شهر رمضان.
Sorry. I was reading at the same time and I shouldn't have done that. There isn't enough aid like the aid that we would expect, since we are staying at the agency's warehouses. People who are outside might have supplies. More than that, we are getting some toilet paper or a piece of soap. There are no aid supplies. During the month of Ramadan, they gave us one coupon. Since they closed the border crossing, we stopped receiving anything. In the past, the agency, UNRWA, used to give us some stuff such as canned food or coupons, but after the Israeli forces closed the border crossing, we did not get anything. Damn, that is empty as fuck. How is that supposed to be enough food for millions of people? I'm not sure we should do this last one. I've got this last one. I was going to look at this. Maybe we should save it. It's really long. It isn't. That's the point. Yes. Yes, it is. It's not enough. It's enough for, like, I don't know, 1 day's worth of food for, what is that, rice? Maybe 10,000 people? That is not enough. Even close. It's not even a start. Should we do this last video? That's my question. Kinda to myself. But, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Destiny debated Mark Lamont Hill yesterday. And I watched this whole very frustrating debate. Just trying to figure out if I have the energy to deal with this right now. If I am gonna do it, I feel like I should change the night, like the title or something. I'm actually gonna deal with Destiny. I should put it like in the title. Get all those Destiny views. What's with the sad face? Why are you giving me the frustrated red face? What does that mean? What am I supposed to be taking from that? You saw it as well? You think it was filmed in February? Was it? Was it filmed in February? Oh, really? Hold on. Let me look at it. Is that true? If it's true, then it's not even important that we deal with it. In which case, I don't want to subject anyone to unnecessary destiny. That would be kind of like a just crime against humanity. Oh, it was. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna add more destiny to the ecosystem than is necessary. You think he just posted it yesterday? Yeah, he did post it yesterday. Maybe we'll deal with this tomorrow. It's already late as fuck, as I started late. You watched it yesterday as well? Okay. Yeah, but I assume Destiny probably did it live. I'm actually 100% positive that he did it live. So it's not new news. I watched it. It was real dumb. We'll deal with this later. Well, chat, we all made it through this one. Well done. It was a long and arduous journey. Thankfully, we had each other to get through it. Well, that's it for me. Till I see you next time. Well, you stay classy, Galactic Stream Nation. Well, I can't forget this. These are your galactic producers. Gabby, Goth Dogs, Aaron W, Mitty, PB, Robot Cat, Pitchforks Dragon, The Anti-Corporatist, Vincent Morales, and Donald James X. all these individuals make the right decision. Will you? Click that link in chat.